So Paul, past chapters of your ebook have really highlighted this demographic time bomb that we're facing. But now companies are asking themselves, okay, this time bomb's coming along, but how do I thrive? How do I succeed in this new environment? What do you say to them?
I think what they need to do is to focus on the two really big opportunities for the next 20 or 30 years. One in the West, one in the emerging economies. One in the West is the over 55 generation. This is going to be 300 million people in a couple of years' time. So an enormous opportunity, and of course a generation that didn't exist in history, because life expectancy really, 55, 60, you were getting ready to die if you hadn't already died. So this is a wonderful new opportunity. We don't know a lot about these people, what their needs are, what their wants are. Very exciting. Therefore an opportunity for real market leadership to be gained. Second opportunity, in the emerging economies, again, hundreds of millions strong, people moving out of poverty for the first time, having $1 spare a week, maybe $1 a month, able to buy a pack of soap for the first time, something like that. And again, this is a wonderful opportunity for companies because we can see quite clearly some of the trends that are emerging from the consumer companies, as we describe in the book. And so we don't have to invent it all from new, we can follow a path that's already been blazed.
This latest chapter highlights some really good examples of consumer type companies that have succeeded in this new arena, and Procter & Gamble's one of them. Well,
yes.
What have they been up to?
Well, fascinating example. Here we are, the largest consumer products company in the world, been around over 100 years, got a new CEO who said specifically in relation to this new normal concept, look, we need a white space strategy. We're only operating in the Western world in half of the markets in which we haven't been in the value sector at all. Equally, we've only been operating, basically, geographically, in the Western world. We haven't been in the emerging economies. If we widen our sights, if we come up with offerings and products which are suitable for the emerging economies and for other sectors of the market, we have got fantastic growth opportunities. So, what he's really saying is current sectors are going to decline, but that, decline is an attitude of mind. If your company says, oh, well, that's it, we can't do anything new, then you can't do anything new. If you say, hey, this is rather a good challenge, let's get out there and try a few things, like Procter & Gamble, let's face it, Procter & Gamble is a pretty big company. If they're doing it, then their competitors are doing it. So chemical companies are going to get dragged along in this, because otherwise they won't get business in this important sector. So this gives them, I think, not only a good incentive, but also a good role model to follow.
There's another interesting downstream example that you give of Hindustan Lever. What have they been up to?
Absolutely. Again, you see, consumer products companies, I'm excited to say, are further ahead in this area than most industrial companies and chemical companies. They see it at first hand. So Hindustan Lever, for the last few years now, in India, have developed this very successful program called the Shakti program. Shakti means power. And what they're doing is they're taking rural women, 40,000 of them now, they're training them up to do some sales, they're paying them some money on sales commission, so they've got some money for the first time, and they're sending them out back into the villages where they live and selling Hindustan Lever products. What interesting from a petrochemical point of view. So the soap that they're selling, little sachet of soap that you and I might leave behind in a Western hotel, they sell for 1 rupee, an interesting blend of linear low and low density polyethylene. Quite an interesting challenge there. And, of course, what you're doing, you're giving a little bit of glamour because you're associating it with a Bollywood actress. Very nice. Equally, what you're doing is you're helping the development process, because by giving people soap and teaching them how to use it, you're improving hygiene. And hygiene means that people become ill less often, and so they risk falling back into poverty much less. So contributing to development as well as making the women feel better and giving them some money. Marvellous societal value opportunity.
So if you're a petrochemical producer, commodities producer, what kind of product areas would you say are likely to grow fastest in these new demographic?
What I'd say is I'd get away from the middle ground.
Yeah.
The middle ground has been the place to be for the last 20 or so years because you had all these baby boomers at the peak of their consumption, but now not. So now we're going back to where we were, back to the future, if you like. So yes, if you want to go with the luxury end, there'll always be a luxury end in the marketplace. You want to be selling there to Tiffany and so on, that's fine, but make sure you've got something that is really going to be valuable to them. But for most chemical companies, it's going to be in the low-cost area. And of course, there's absolutely no reason why we can't compete very successfully in that area. Again, it's just a mindset. Instead of trying to overcomplicate things and add in more cost, let's strip it back to basics and say, well, what do we really need to be doing here? And of course, that does mean getting people out on the ground, talking to the customers, not sitting in the headquarters and shipping 5,000 and 10,000 tonnes in one lot, in that way. So it's a more interactive process, if you like. It's going to be some more trials and errors, but no bad thing. We're bright people, we enjoy challenges. If you get it wrong once, that's an opportunity to get it right next time.
Do we need another shift in philosophy away from sort of cost-cutting, job reduction and that kind of thing as a success model?
Very much so, I think. Michael Porter, the great management thinker, the professor at Harvard, who came up with the idea of clusters and competitive strategy and so on that we've all adopted in previous years, now talking about this need for shared value. And what does he mean by shared value? He means not going any more for the idea of shareholder value, where what you aim to do is to cut costs, cut wages, and give an enormous bonus to the chief executive and the board. That's not what it's all about. It's following the model, again, back to the future, of Henry Ford. Henry Ford, when he set up his car company in the 1920s, paid his workers above average wages, $5 a day. Everybody jumped up and down, oh, you're ruining the market. No, he wasn't. He was being very enlightened, because by paying his workers $5 a day, they were able to afford to buy his cars. So therefore, he got a mass market for his cars, and therefore, he became the success that he was. So this is the kind of thinking that we now need to look at. And again, no reason why chemical companies can't do it, but we need to realise that what's worked in the past isn't working today. Look at all the societal problems that we have, disruption. This is really very urgent indeed. We can't afford for the whole country, the whole Western world, to be taken over by an Occupy Wall Street mode, and yet it will be unless companies become more responsible and start thinking about, well, what am I really here to do? Am I really just here to pay myself large amounts of money, or am I really here to do something for the benefit of society? And frankly, I think that's what we all came into the industry for. We've lost our way in recent years, and now we need to rediscover it as quickly as possible.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Thank you.